Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
All right, we're
Shalom.
going to stand up and face the east. Shema Yasharallah. Ahaya. Alahaya Nawa. Ahaya. Achad. Shema Yasharallah. Ahaya. Alahaya Nawa. Ahaya. Achad. Shema Yasharallah. Ahaya. Alahaya Nawa. Ahaya. Achad. Hero Israel. Ahaya our power. Ahaya is one. All praise to the Most High.
Okay, let's turn over to Exodus, the 20th chapter. All right, Exodus 20 and 1. And Ahaya spake all this word, saying, I am Ahaya thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Ahaya thy power, my jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Ahaya thy power in vain. For the Most High will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Most High, thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days I have made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Most High blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Most High thy power giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor. And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not Ahaya speak with us, lest we die. And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, for Ahaya has come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that ye sin not. And the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where Ahaya was. And the Most High said unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, Ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. You shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall you make unto you gods of gold. An altar of earth thou shalt make unto me, and shalt sacrifice thereon thy burnt offerings and thy peace offerings, thy sheep and thine oxen. In all places where I record my name, I will come unto thee, and I will bless thee. And if thou wilt make me an altar of stone, thou shalt not build it of hewn stone. But if thou lift up thy tool upon it, thou hast polluted it. Neither shalt thou go up by steps into mine altar, that thy nakedness be not discovered thereon. All right, let's get our readers forward.
Tazawah son of Judah, son of Israel. We are starting off at Judges 6:1. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Most High. And the Most High delivered them into the hand of Midian 7 years. Verse 2, and the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel. And because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains and caves and strongholds. Verse 3, and so it was when Israel had sown that the Midians came up, and the Amalekites, and the children of East, even they came up against them. Verse 4, and they encamped against them and destroyed the increase of the earth till thou come unto Gaza, and left no substance for Israel, neither sheep, nor ox, nor ass. Verse 5, as they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came in as grasshoppers for multitude, for both they had their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. Verse 6, and Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried unto the children. Verse 7, and it came to pass when the children of Israel cried unto the Most High because of the Midianites,
Shabbat Shalom, family. Brother Martin from the tribe of Issachar, house of Israel. Judges chapter 6, verse 7. Oh, 8, my bad. And the Most High sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, thus said the Most High power of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt, and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. Verse 9. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drave them out before you, and gave you their land. Verse 10. And I said unto you, I am the Most High your power. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land ye dwell, but you have not obeyed my voice. Verse 11. And there came an angel of the Most High, and sat under an oak which was an Oprah, that pertained unto Joash the Abizarite, and his sons Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. Verse 12. And the angel of the Most High appeared unto him, and said unto him, the Most High is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. Verse 13. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, if the Most High be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all the miracles which our fathers told us of, saying, did not the Most High bring us up from Egypt? But now the Most High hath forsaken us, and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. Verse 14. And the Most High looked upon him and said, go in this thy night, or go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites, and have not I sent thee?
Shabbat Shalom. My brother Kayah, house of Israel, tribe of Judah. This is verse 15. And he said unto him, O my Lord, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. And the Most High said unto him, surely I will be with thee, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. And he said unto him, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. Depart not hence, I pray thee, until I come unto thee again. Until I come unto thee and bring forth my present, and set it before thee. And he said, I will tarry until thou come again. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid, and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it. The angel of the Most High said unto him, Take the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of the Most High put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh of the unleavened cakes. And there rose up a fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Most High departed out of his sight.
Shabbat. Shalom, family. Brother Gocc, tribe of Judah, house of Israel. Judges 6, verse 22. And when Gideon perceived that he was an angel of the Most, when Gideon perceived that thee was an angel of the Most High, Gideon said, Alas, O Lord God, for because I have seen an angel of the Most High face to face. And the Most High said unto him, Peace be unto thee, fear not, thou shalt not die. Then Gideon built an altar there unto the Most High, and called it Jehovah Shalom. Unto this day it is yet an Ophrah of the Abite Ezrites. And it came to pass the same night that the Most High said unto him, Take thy father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down the altar of Baal that thy father had, and cut down the grove that is by it, and build an altar unto the Most High thy God upon the top of this rock, in an ordered place, and take the second bullock, and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the grove, which thou shalt cut down. Then Gideon took the 10 men of his servants, and did as the Most High had said unto him. And so it was because he feared his father's household and the men of the city, that he could not do it by day, that he did it by night. And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down in the grove. Salakia. And the grove was cut down that was by it, and the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Brother Arak, Geyah, Yasharallah from the tribe of Judah. Starting at verse 29. And they said one to another, Who have done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, have done this thing. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, Bring out thy son, that he may die, because he hath cast down the altar of Baal, and because he hath cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood against him, Will ye plead for Baal? Will ye save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death, whilst it is yet morning. If he be a god, let him plead for himself, because one hath cast down his altar. Verse 32. Therefore on that day he called him Jerubbaal, saying, Let Baal plead against him, because he hath thrown down his altar. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together and went over and pitched in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Most High came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiezer was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him. And he sent messengers unto Asher and unto Zebulun and unto Naphtali, and they came up to meet them.
Shalom, family. Brother Azar, tribe of Judah, nation of Yasharallah. This is Judges chapter 6, verse 36. And Gideon said unto the Most High, If thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor. And if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry up on all the earth, then beside Then shall I know that thou wilt save Israel by mine hand, as thou hast said. And it was so, for he rose up early on the morrow, and thrust the fleece together, and wringed the dew out of the fleece, a bowl of water. And Gideon said unto the Most High, Let not thine anger be hot against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me prove, I pray thee, but this once with the fleece. Let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. And the Most High did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground. Verse 71, Then Jerubbaal, who is Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early and pitched beside the well of Harod, so that the host of the Midianites were on the north side of them by the hill of Moreh in the valley.
Shabbat Shalom Akim, Shem Yachazak, Ban Yehoda, Ban Yashra. Verse 2. And the Lord said unto Gideon, The people that are there, they are too many for me to give to the Midianites into their hands. These Israel vaunt themselves against me, saying, Mine own hand has saved me. Now therefore go to proclaim the ears of the people, saying, Whosoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And they and their return of the people, 20 and 2,000, and there remained 10,000. Verse 4, And the Lord said unto Gideon, The people are yet too many. Bring them down into the water, and I will try them. I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto thee, This shall go with thee, the same shall go with thee, and of whomsoever I say unto thee, This shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. So he brought down the people into the water, and the Lord said unto Gideon, Give one that lappeth of the water with his tongue, as a dog lappeth him, shalt thou set by himself. Likewise, every one that bowed down upon his knees to drink. And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand in their mouth, were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knee to drink water. Verse 7. And the Lord said unto Gideon, By the 300 men that lapped will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thine hand, and let all the other people go every man unto his place. Verse 8. So the people took victuals in their hand, and their trumpets, and he sent all the rest of Israel, every man unto his tent, and retained those 300 men, and the host of Midian, and beneath him in the valley.
Whenever he's ready to start, we'll start. Are you out or soprano? Now, you guys know the second song is Let the Break Begin? If you don't know, okay, the guy will be that's not right. How they did, huh? That's not right. We ready? Whenever. Wait. Hey, you guys know when to come in? Soprano. You guys know when to come in? Alto? You know when to come in? I mean, tenor? We ready. right in the middle. I'm sorry, Sean. I gotta walk you. Whenever you're ready. Wait till. Are you guys ready? Are you ready? Let that praise begin. Let's go, y'all. Come on now. Every single person in here, let's get up on our feet. Let's go. Come on now. We're going to praise Him. Turn that up, please, Nasa. All right now. Let's get on one accord. Leave all your problems on the outside to be consumed by the Holy Spirit power. Open up your mouth and lift the name. Shout out how you say.
right there. That's good. That's good. Thank you. Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
Okay. Test. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, folks. Praise the Most High. We're going to go ahead and start our lesson here. Okay. All right. And the lesson today is called Count Your Blessings. Be thankful. Right? Okay. And we're going to read this commentary real quick, and then I'll expound a little bit. And let's first turn to Psalms 84, though, 1 through 11. All right, and also, before I go into just, I guess on the, actually no, I'm going to read the commentary, then I'll touch it. It says here, there's a serious lack of appreciation in the last days for the Most High's mercy upon the earth. He is allowing the truth to spread throughout the earth before the real destruction happens, and still the majority seem as if they could care less. What are we waiting for, being those who claim to see? Why do we oftentimes tend to complain and blame the Most High for our problems instead of thanking Him for even allowing us to live long enough to sort them out? Have we forgot what it means to be thankful, or have we been conditioned with a mindset of entitlement that doesn't allow thankfulness to be a focus anymore? Let us focus today on remembering the mercy that has been given to us and who we truly have to be thankful for. And when you look at, for example, and I'm sure we're familiar with them at this point, but when you look at just things like your earthquakes and things that happen, you'll watch on the news, you'll see all this chaos and people freaking out, and they show something that happened 20 years ago and how the streets were broken down and all this good stuff. And the thing is, in the midst of that, because mind you, when this stuff happens, we treat it as if it meant the end of the world. Whatever tends to happen, we treat it as if it's the end of the world. If there's something going on in another state, they got something possibly going to happen, in Louisiana and all that? Okay? We treat like that's the actual end of the world, when the reality is that things end up going on business as usual after the thing happens. Right? And we forget about the key things here. When it's all said and done, that the Most High was merciful enough to allow us to see the next thing. Because with all the confusion that we go through from day to day, we really aren't worthy of it. That's why we just have to thank Him for even sending His Son to actually help us in these last days and send that understanding so that we can get that promise that He left with His sacrifice. Do you understand? So let's go into 84 here, because I want also to give people in proper perspective here. Especially on the, again, even just and I guess David will say it better, but even just whatever you do when it comes to the work, it just hits me like, man, we got to start being more thankful for even being allowed to know this truth.
God.
Not just about what you do, you see. Read that, please.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 84, verse 1. How admirable are the tabernacles, O Lord of hosts! My soul longeth, yea, even fainteth for the courts of the Most High. My heart and my flesh crieth out for the living God. Yea, the sparrow hath found a house, and the swallow a nest for herself, where she may lay her young, even thine altars, O Most High of hosts. my King and my God. Blessed are they that dwell in my house. They will be still praising thee, Selah. Blessed is the man whose strength is in thee, and whose heart are the ways of them, who passing through the valley of Baca came in a well, and rain also filled. Who passing through the valley of Baca make it a well. The rain also filleth the pools. They go from strength to strength, every one of them in Zion, apparent before the Most High. O God of God, O Lord God of hosts, hear my prayer. Give ear, O power of Jacob, Selah. Behold, O God, our shield, and look upon the face of thy anointed. For a day in thy courts is better than 1,000. I had rather be a doorkeeper in the house of the Most High than to dwell in the tents of wickedness. Verse 11. For the Most High power is a sun and shield, and the Most High will give grace and glory. No good thing will he withhold from them that walk uprightly.
Right. So the whole thing is, this is a king saying these things. And still made the statement, at the end of all of it, I'd rather just hold a door if I can make it, if I can be a part of it. And see, that's the part we miss a lot of times. When all this stuff is breaking out, what matters is, look, the Most High is giving you a gift here. Don't take it for granted. Don't sit here and look at the bigger picture. You understand? The world is literally crumbling. You know, it's hanging on by a string here. And still, he's called you to this truth and allowed you to have that opportunity to possibly be a door holder. If that, you know what I mean? But it's deep to watch that, because David, he's got everything. He's like, look, if I could just get in by that, I would be happy. So when it comes down to it, it says, count your blessings. We used to, there used to be an expression in the old days that people would say. But somewhere along the way, we started complaining about things more and more, and forgetting that just drawing breath, as opposed to when it comes to these other people, they didn't already died, folks, they're gone. You still have an opportunity to make it. People died in their confusion, and here it is, you may still be dealing with confusion, but you still have breath to change it. So the whole thing is, we got to get in that kind of mindset too. It's not about what you do in this work, as long as you're doing it. All right? Focus in, pay attention to what's going on here. Because when it comes down to it, the Most High can raise up anybody to actually do his work. But he chose to tell you about it. He chose to give you a mission here. All right? Genesis 18, 16 through 19. And while we're getting, I just want to touch on a point that was made in the comment earlier that we read. Let me go back here for a second. About our entitlement. It says here again, have we forgot what it means to be thankful, or have we been conditioned with a mindset of entitlement? The one thing they've done to us under the beast system is given us a mental blockage where we can only, it has to be, what have you done for me? We do the same thing with the Most High. We take that same mentality to him. What is he doing for me? As if we're worthy for him to do anything with our foolishness. Okay, so we should just be mindful of that. Like, that was actually deeply ingrained in us, that kind of mindset. A lot of us, I think we went over before with Tay and Josephus, that system that he had a system in place where he was giving stuff to the people as far as food and stuff like that, so that they would eventually feel like they didn't need to depend on the Most High. Right? Well, they do that nowadays. They give you so many little perks here and there, discounts and all that you have the mentality of what else can I get? Where's my other handout here? And we take that mess to him. When the whole time is, you should be lucky, and we're going to read some more here, to even get that. You should be lucky. There's people that die every day, and we say it, but we don't really let that register. There's children that have never even seen their first birthday. And we know it, but yet we don't let it sink in. All right? So let's read that real quick.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 18, verse 16. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them in the way. And the Most High said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Most High to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he had spoken of him.
All right, so the Most High, here's the funny thing. He always had a situation where Yeshua, for example, would actually interact with his people that he approved of. And he gave them insight. And we're going to go into that, Amos 3, 1 through 8. He gave them insight, brothers and sisters. Where the reality is, the scriptures say what? What is man that thou art mindful of him? Even in all our perfection that we, think we own or whatever, we always fall short of what it means to be the Most High in his perfection. But yet he still found time out to speak with us. I tell you, Jews seek after a sign. He's been giving us signs forever, but for some reason, if he's not front and center saying it to you, you're going to keep doing what you want to do, instead of being thankful for even knowing who we are. And we got to do better with that. We got to pick ourselves up and realize that shortcoming. Even in our prayers, we be requesting all this stuff, then we forget to even say thank you. Hey, this not working for me. Oh, Lord, what is it? Wait a minute, where's the thanks? What's the gratitude here? You understand? But let's go to this, because this is the reality. We're going to touch on what happens here and how he has actually been there for us. Read that.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 3, verse 1. Hear this word that the Most High hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Can two walk together except they agree? Will a lion roar in the forest when he hath no prey? Will a young lion cry out of his den if he hath taken nothing? Can a bird fall in a snare upon the earth where no gin is for him? Shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all? Shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in a city and the Most High hath not done it? Surely the Most High power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants the prophets. Verse 8, The lion hath roared, who will not fear? The Most High power hath spoken, who can but prophesy?
Right. So here it is, the Most High. He's been giving us the inside track to know the things about to go down in this earth, to prepare yourself. And the whole thing is, he didn't have to. We could be caught up in all the confusion of the past and, forgetting the fact that this is the case, that he always talked to his people and told them the way to go. And just go down with the rest. I bet you everybody, here's the thing. I bet you when that earthquake hit, people was getting religious. Right? I bet you if I go on whatever, Instagram or whatever these clips I have, I guarantee you there's about a ton of people saying, oh God. So the whole thing, even in them, they're blinded. And you have the pleasure and understanding who you are and what your purpose is, where they may never get. As religious as they got when that ground started shaking. So the whole thing is we have to start checking ourselves and say, man, am I thankful for being in this number? For being chosen out of all these millions and billions of people on this earth that, half of them believe that this is global warming and all this confusion? Should I have a little bit more thankfulness in me? When I pray, do I even thank him at all? You understand? So these are the things you have to consider. Are you counting your blessings? Let's go to Zechariah 1, 3 through 6. You know, it was a time where Christ was like, oh man, these people only coming around because of the food I can provide. And he's making fish come out of nowhere. You better believe he's going to have a crowd when you're doing that. You know, fish fries every week. But the reality is when things got tough, they forgot. They forgot. They forgot the mercy that the Most High had on so many of them. So in our time, luckily, we get to look back at their errors and do what's right. Including when it comes to just the thankfulness of it all. We can actually look at, see, it's one thing to be big, because you can now shake your head and like, they was doing something crazy in that wilderness. Look at them murmuring and all that. That's a shame. They didn't have that luxury. You understand? They were the ones writing history. They were the ones who actually were doing it. So the whole thing is you got to even be thankful for that. At least you can actually look at it and say, instead of being that actual person. You see? So let's go a little deeper in this. Let's go to Zechariah. Because the reality is, he always talked to us. He always was there. It's us that failed him. All right? Read that, please.
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 1, verse 3. Therefore say thou unto them, thus saith the Most High of hosts. Turn ye unto me, said the Most High of hosts, and I will turn unto you, said the Most High of hosts. Be ye not as your fathers, unto whom the former prophets have cried, saying, Thus saith the Most High of hosts, turn ye now from your evil ways and from your evil doings. But they did not hear nor hearken unto me, said the Most High. Your fathers, where are they? The prophets, do they live forever? But my words and my statutes, which I command my servants, the prophets, will they not take hold of your fathers? And they returned and said, like as the Most High of hosts thought to do unto us, according to our ways and according to our doings, so hath he dealt with us.
All right. So he made these laws known to many generations, regardless of what we were dealing with. But look how many times they said, look, turn ye now from your evil ways and from your evil doings. But they did not hear nor hearken unto him. Here it is, he brings up the fact that, look, the prophets were telling you all this stuff. Turn away from your foolishness, and you didn't hearken unto them. He said, but look, they're dead. And yet my word is still with you. That should be thankful. We should be thankful for that in itself. Because if it was left up to the powers that be, you wouldn't even have a Bible. That's what people think this is a physical thing. That Bible was preserved on purpose for you. You think they wouldn't think about all the, if you know history, you know that certain times in history they were taking books and just burning them. You think they wouldn't have loved to do that? So somehow the Most High made sure that it was preserved for you in this time. Even in all our madness, he preserved it for us so that we could get out of it. Even his name. They almost buried that thing. And it's still here now. So the whole thing is, that's how we must reflect. There's so many steps that came into play, and we're going to turn to Psalms 107, 1 through 13. There were so many steps that came into play to restore your heritage, to give you understanding. That if you're not dealing with thankfulness in these last days, you have lost yourself. There were so many steps. Even people born. You mentioned in prophets, you know the lottery on that, just to have a person born in a particular time when it was needed. He put so many details in place for us. You understand? So at the end of it, that's why I say, look at what David was saying with that doorkeeper. Like, keep it in perspective. There's so many things that had to go into play just for you to make it alone, and everything else is just icing. Just be grateful you're able to hear the message. You see? Read that, please.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 107, verse 1. O give thanks unto the Most High, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Let the redeemed of the Most High say so, whom he had redeemed from the hand of the enemy, and gathered them out of the lands, from the east and from the west, from the north and from the south. They wandered in the wilderness in a solitary way. They found no city to dwell in. Hungry and thirsty, their soul fainted in them. And they cried unto the Most High and their trouble, and he delivered them out of their distresses. And he led them forth by the right way, that they might go to a city of habitation. Oh, that men would praise the Most High for his goodness and for his wonderful works to the children of men.
All right, so we're going to stop there for a second. So the Most High is bringing us from all places in the earth. He's going to bring us into that wilderness once more. Most High willing, we'll get to see that time. And the whole thing is, even that alone is to be glorified and praised and thankful, to be thankful about. He's taken us from confusion, trauma, all kinds of stuff. And sometimes, along the way we forget it, but he did. So when you're reading these things, this is something big here. He's telling you in the future, he's even going to do stuff for us here. He's going to gather you from wherever you were. It doesn't matter your because everybody has their story. It doesn't matter your beginnings. He's going to help you get to the end here. To the end game, the point of all this stuff. They ask you what's the secret to life and all that. And we've cleared it up before. Dealing with the Most High's commandments, that's the duty of man, serving him. All right? But he's gonna expound even on the little stuff if you give him time and actually be gracious for the time that you have. No, don't make it a thing where you kind of get into an impatient role here. Because your impatience is actually in itself a problem. Because it takes patience will have its perfect work. You go through the process and you realize even in the ups and downs that, look, you got plenty to write down and take bullet. Matter of fact, maybe that's what some people need to do. Write down what you have to be thankful for. Some people just got to do that and focus on that. Because until you realize these things and actually internalize the mercy that really is coming through the Most High towards our generation, you're going to always have that conflict within your mind. You're going to always have this thing where you just can't, nothing's ever enough. And next thing you know, there's some history wrote about you in a tent somewhere. Yeah, we had to take them out too. The earth swallowed them up. Imagine that being your history for all generations. I mean, now you know these people's by name. That we can look back and say, man, I wouldn't have been that guy. You sure? Right? So let's continue on. Because it said, look, he's gathering them out of the lands from the east, from the west, from the north, and the south. Let's go down to verse 10. I think we're at 10, right? No, 9, excuse me.
Verse 9. For he satisfieth the longing soul, and filleth the hungry soul with goodness. Such as sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, being bound in affliction and iron, because they rebelled against the words of the Most High, and contemned the counsel of the Most High. Verse 12. Therefore he brought down their heart with labor. They fell down, and there was none to help. Then they cried unto the Most High and their trouble, and he saved them out of their distresses.
Right, so he put us in bondage in these lands that we were scattered to because of our own hard heads. And I was just thinking about this. Here's another thing to be thankful for. We complain about what the white man do and all this stuff, and look at the system and all this stuff. Look, do you realize what just a couple generations, what they had to deal with compared to what you're dealing with in your time? Just think about what it's being in affliction and iron. They actually went through that prophecy. You're just the end result of it. They actually, getting their heads chopped off, all that stuff, slave boats, you've avoided that. That in itself should be something to be thankful of. Because it could have been worse for you. All right? Let's continue on. But it's making the point that the Most High is going to deliver us even from those times. And that's what he's slowly starting to do. We're going to go to Hosea 2, 1 through 11. And then, we're working on ourselves. We've been making this point to brothers and sisters. Please, really start trying to sort out your differences. Please. Christ didn't have the luxuries we have. We have time to actually sort these things out. Do it. All right? Because the reality is this. While you're distracted with your brother or sister, whatever the case may be, you're still missing this part of the ministry. The part of mercy, the part of being thankful. You're not thinking about that at the time. You're just thinking about an offense. You're in a zone completely separate from what the message of Christ was. All right? I mean, Christ was thanking them. If we're supposed to be doing what Christ does, he was thanking the Most High. So let's make sure we do it. Let's not lose perspective. All right? Sort things out with your brethren. Let's read that.
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 2, verse 1. Say unto your brethren, Ami, and to your sisters, Ruhamah. Plead with your mother, plead, for she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Let her therefore put away her whoredoms out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts. Let I strip her naked, and set her as in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst. And I will not have mercy upon her children, for they be the children of whoredoms. For their mother hath played the harlot, she has conceived them, hath done shamefully. For she said, I will go after my lovers, that give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, my oil and my drink. Therefore, behold, I will hedge up thy way and thorns, and hedge up thy way with thorns, and make a wall, that she shall not find her paths. Verse 7. That she shall follow after her lovers, but she shall not overtake them, and she shall seek them, but shall not find them. Then shall she say, I will go and return to my first husband, for then was it better with me than now.
And that's the time we're in. You realize, look, this thing ain't working out, us trying to follow these other nations. It ain't working out. So the whole deal is there would be some people that would seek wisdom and say, let's try this another way, because our method is broken. This thing is not working. All right, that's what he's talking about. We went away from him in spiritual fornication and regular fornication. All right, to follow the other nations and their gods. So he slowly but surely is bringing us out of that process. That's something to be thankful for too. Read that.
Verse 8. For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil, and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. Therefore I will return, and take away my corn in the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will discover my wool and my flax given to cover her nakedness. And now I will discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of my hand. Verse 11. I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts.
All right. So here it is. You giving gifts to someone. Imagine you give us gifts to someone, and they thanking someone else for it. That's what we were doing. Most High is making us prosperous, and we're thanking Baal for it. We're sacrificing to Baal with the things he gave us. The cattle we get, all right, let's go over to the temple of Baal, y'all. Let's do this. All right, let's go down into Egypt and worship the Queen of Heaven. During Jeremiah's time, they did that. So there's nothing new under the sun. We do the same thing today. The Most High allow us the mercy not to even have a meal. And the one thing we say, no, we got to do this Christmas thing. We got to do this Thanksgiving thing. And here it is, he ain't mentioned not one of those things in the Bible. So the whole thing is we haven't changed much. So the thing is, let's go back up here. It says, I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts. That's why we lost it all. Unthankful. You understand? Giving credit to the gods that cannot save us. 2nd Ezra 8 and 50 through 60. And that's the funny thing. Even when we try to join these groups, how come it never goes as well for us? You be having cats, they Satanists working at like McDonald's or something. They literally pushing Satanism like it's a great thing for them. And hey, you got to do what you do for a job, but I thought Satan was supposed to have perks for these people. I know why we going through it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out why they're going through it. I thought he's supposed to have perks. No, he puts a couple of us up to sprinkle us out there to have us thinking you can just chase Satan and get some good stuff. The rest of us still going through hell, no matter what we do. We sit there chanting in the corners and everything, we still broke. Ringing bells and all this crazy stuff. Crystals and praying to them, but we still broke. So the whole thing is all he was asking for us to be, let's be thankful here of him. Because he provides. He allowed us to survive. He allowed our lineages to get this far. He could have utterly wiped us out from under heaven if he wanted to. Right? Read that, please.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 8, verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride.
Funny, they got whole marches called Pride Marches. I'm sure we know what I'm talking about here. Read.
Verse 51. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is a paradise opened. The tree of life is planted. The time to come is prepared. Plenteousness is made ready. A city is builded, and rest is allowed. Yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. The root of evil is sealed up from you, weakness, and the moth is hid from you, and corruption is fled into hell to be forgotten. Verse 54. Sorrows are past, and in the end is showed the treasure of immortality. And therefore ask thou no more questions concerning the multitude of them that perish. Verse 56. For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, though scorned of his law, and forsook his ways.
All right, so when they had liberty, taken liberty, they had the free time to do the right thing. They despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways. Well, the law is done away with. We don't have to deal with that no more. While they had the free time, you have the time now to do the right thing. This is what people are doing. Unthankful. They're not thankful. All right, it says, for when they had taken liberty. How much? This is the thing. A lot of times we tell ourselves we don't have time for this stuff. But we'll sit home and watch hours and hours of something that got nothing to do with getting us in the kingdom. It's madness. It's mess. We have time. We don't make the proper time. Somehow we find a way for stuff that's completely unrelated to this Bible, though. I was talking about earlier the contradictory ways we even think when it comes to the service. You'll have people complain about having to come to Sabbath, but they go to work every week. Every week. They have no problem with it. I mean, it's one of these things where we're going to either figure this thankful thing out right and serve him, or we're going to fall with everybody else. The same people we're bringing the message to, telling them, you know the Most High going to be judging you for that, right? We'll go to these people and still go the whole week doing this, just as rebellious as anybody else. All right? Let's continue on here.
Verse 57. Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous, and said in their heart that there is no God, yea, and that knowing they must die. For as the things aforesaid shall receive you, so thirst and pain are prepared for them. For it was not his will that men should come to naught. But they which be created have defiled the name of him that made them, and were unthankful unto him which prepared life for them.
Right, I was just thinking, it said they so thirst and pain. It's funny because that's what was described when Christ gave that understanding of the rich guy in hell. He's asking Lazarus, hey, can I just get a drop of water on my tongue over here? And he's going through pain. The whole thing is, while you have all this free time, you tend to forget that you got to die one of these days. And all this free time, you look at all the time you waste just watching your favorite show and don't even want to open that Bible at any time. You're going to really feel it at that moment when you die. You're like, man, I literally spent days on this stuff, years. And all I had to do was be a little thankful and actually do his will. And find out about his will more completely. 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 7. And you know what, it's just like anything else. I think people don't understand why a lot of times they go through certain things. Or certain things they don't take as a lesson to be learned and applied to something else. When it says, when they had time, for that liberty aspect, when they had taken liberty, here it is, a lot of people say the same thing with anything that they don't want to do. You'll go to a gym, right? You'll pay a personal trainer. It's 4 months later, you ain't lost 1 pound. And then when he asks you, what's up? Oh, I ain't had time. It's always the same mess, right? So this person getting frustrated, like, man, look, you represent me. I can't even do it before or after on you right now. Like, you just got, well, okay, we're just going to get a different color for you to wear, make you look slimmer or something. That's what you got to realize. It's the same thing. It's like you're literally giving an excuse to this thing where really you could do it. You could have did it a long time ago. You could have put more time in a long time ago. You wasted that time of liberty. Okay, some of us will literally be on the phone all night with our buddy. Hours done passed and we won't even pray. We won't open up a Bible. Just watch a YouTube video on it. So this is the thing, we got to come correct here and show our actual appreciation for what he has done for us. All right, let's read that.
This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. Verse 6. For of this sort are they which creep into houses, and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
All right. So a lot of these people, they operate like vultures here. And the whole thing is, one of the key part of the whole point is unthankful. That's a big thing in the last days. You could do above and beyond for somebody, and this, the one thing you don't do for them, they start complaining. Well, what about this when you ain't do this for me? You mean the one thing out of the 1,000 that I've done for you? It's how it is in these last days. I've seen it over and over again, even in this truth. It's a shame, and the fact that it actually mentions this, look, it says in verse 1, this know also that in the last day perilous times shall come. Times of great peril. And one of those traits is being unthankful. Wait a minute, I thought it was something serious. It is serious. Being unthankful is very serious. Okay, Psalm 68, 18 through 21. And again, here's the thing. It's about, if you're dealing with the spirit where you're not thankful with people that you interact with every day, how much more are you not going to be thankful with the Most High who you can't see every day? He's not even an afterthought then. So really, these things are not small concepts. They're big. And if you want to look at the people, you got sinkholes and everything going on nowadays. The earth is already opening itself and showing you this is a real thing that can happen to you. But if we want to look at the history on things and our people, the one thing we can quantify is they were definitely a people who were unthankful. Man, he done brought us out of here to die. Well, you were in Egypt dying. They were taking your babies, if you look into the history, and if you weren't at the quota, they would stick your babies between the bricks as mortar. I think it's in Jasher, right? But he saves the day, and we get out there because we can't get some onions and leeks or whatever we wanted, and start saying, well, hey, he left us out here to die. Man, I probably would have been murking too. But no, they didn't. Just think about that. He delivered us from, they were literally going around just killing our men child and throwing them as alligators, to the alligators. Just like in the South. They were doing that to us in Egypt. And we still complain. So that's why we have to self-reflect. Because if you don't get these problems out the way now, you will be that person. They didn't start that way. Or should I say, they didn't start in the wilderness that way. They already had these characteristics. All right. Read that, please.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 68, verse 18. Thou hast ascended on high. Thou hast led captivity captive. Thou hast received gifts for men. Yea, for the rebellious also, that the Most High power might dwell among them. Blessed be the Lord, who daily loadeth us with benefits, even the Most High of our salvation, Selah. He that is our God is the God of salvation, and unto God the Lord belong the issues from death. Verse 21. But God shall wound the head of his enemies, that the hairy scalp of such a one as goeth on still in his trespasses.
All right, I just thought of something funny. Even to be thankful of those times. You ever been driving in the car, all of a sudden you're at the point where you went from point A to point B, but you can't remember nothing in the middle? You should be thankful just for that. I'm still waiting for atheists to explain that one too. How you can literally zone out and you still sticking to the road, and you're doing everything on autopilot. Where the next person, Most High, may say, you know what, let's just get rid of this person right now. But you just be thankful for that alone. You made it to church today. Especially in LA with this highway. So the whole thing is, we got to realize daily he loads us with benefits. Even the things you've been through. Because some of us been through rough things, car accidents and stuff like that. I could think back and be like, you know what? Yeah, he bailed me out of that one. You understand? I remember even being in slow motion, everything in the air, like this is something weird going on, y'all. Like I'm floating for a second there, just slow, you know. And I just think he had to be there. So why not be thankful? Why were times hard and I check myself and say, you know what? But you still breathing, brother. You understand? 2 Ezra 16, 70 through 78. You still breathing, brother. Remember that. There's children that literally didn't see their 10th birthday, a bullet come randomly, strike them down through the, something that had nothing to do with them. There we got it there. Yeah, go ahead.
This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, verse 70. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Most High. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Most High. For they shall waste and take away their goods, and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known, who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Hear, O ye my beloved, said the Most High, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, said the Most High Power. Let not our sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins, and covered with their iniquities, like as a field is covered over the bushes, and the path thereof covered with thorns, that no man may travel through. It is left undressed, and it cast into the fire to be consumed therewith.
All right. So in these last days, those that are truly thankful and start to do these things and understand the mercy the Most High has had, guess what? He said He will deliver us. He said, look, check this out. I want to go back to this one part. 74. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Most High, behold, the days of trouble are at hand. And if we haven't figured that out, we're in those days. All right? But I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt. I mean, you got to have faith through this. But it's going to come with some works. One of those key works is starting to pay attention to what the Most High has done for you. It's going to be a big part of it. Otherwise, you'll become a complainer. All right? Be not afraid, neither doubt. For the Most High is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts. Remember, it didn't just say commandments. When it talks about being unthankful, that's a precept. So the whole thing is, we have to get all this stuff if we want to go through this and do well. Right? Sirach 51 and 8 through 12. Sirach 51, 8 through 12. And again, it's been a conditioning process for us, brothers. That's the deep thing about it. We have learned through the system that we were part of to feel that entitlement situation. Everything must be handed to us, where the world is not so. That's another thing. Once you get out of Babylon, you realize that even more so. Because there's no safety nets in certain situations that you may get here in Babylon, that in other places in the old world, the world that you will eventually see. There's no safety nets. At best, the government might give you some flatbread or something. And it's white bread. It ain't even healthy for you. It's flatbread. Here you go. Thing like plastic. I remember one point, this shows you how programmed the government is too. Though. I remember being in one country and the government was giving out actually brown sugar. They were doing a little better, right? The people were so programmed that they wanted to be like the beast system. They were mad and said, we want the white sugar. But the point is, this is all they were giving them anyway. I just find it funny. This is all they were getting. There was no subsidies. There was no special program where you can get back on your feet. You had to deal with faith. You may not even had much, but that was all you really had to rely on. So you can imagine why the old world is still very religious. You got to be dealing with some kind of spirit. Because the governors are tough. You understand? So let's continue. Let's read that.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 51, verse 8. Then thought I upon the mercy, O Lord, and upon thy acts of old, how thou deliverest such as wait for thee, and savest them out of the hands of the enemies. Then I lifted up my supplication from the earth, and prayed for deliverance from death. I called upon the Lord, the Father of my Lord, that he would not leave me in the days of my trouble, and in the time of the proud when there was no help. I will praise thy name continually, and will sing praise with the thanksgiving, and so my prayer was heard. For thou savest me from destruction, and deliverest me from the evil time. Therefore I will give thanks and praise thee, and bless thy name, O Lord.
And again, I hope you heard that said, I'll call upon the Lord, the Father of my Lord. Sounds like a division there, don't it? It's like two separate entities to me. 2nd Ezra 1, 32 through 40. But it says, and saveth them out of the hands of the enemies. It's only by the Most High we're getting out of this. It's 2000 so-called 19, and still the news, there's no public announcement about who you are. As a matter of fact, if they show us on the news, they're trying to show us cursing at people to have this slant that we just hate everyone. There's no public announcement saying, oh, by the way, these are the real people. So it's only by the Most High that you get this information. He's saving us out of the hands of the enemy. He's the one dropping all these governments down to their knees so they can't even fight anymore. I mean, they're makeshifting. They put a thing on the news saying about how Russia, first of all, this is madness, but how they were making submarines or something and taking their old submarines and fitting them out so they can go and mess down with the lines, the wiring of the internet under the waters. Right? This is their theory on what Russia was doing. And I found it funny because here's the thing. All these countries had so much, I mean, it's just a messed up storyline, but they had so many riches and things. And you telling me you got to reverse engineer something old? That's what's going on right now. People are budgeting and things. There used to be a time where America didn't care about a budget. Whatever was bought. You understand? So these things are falling. And we have to just thank him for causing them to fall. He's the one moving the empires into the next phase of this, not them. They have to do what he says. Let's read that.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 1, verse 32. I sent unto you my servants, the prophets, whom ye have taken and slain, and torn their bodies in pieces, whose blood I will require of your hands, said the Most High. Thus saith the mighty Lord, your house is desolate. I will cast you out as the wind doth stubble, and your children shall not be fruitful, for they have despised my commandments and done the thing that is evil before me.
Right. And you know what? We didn't even get to the rest of the part, but it hit me also. And it still goes into that unthankfulness. Here it is, Most High would send people to give us the message so that you don't have to slay us. And eventually we would end up killing them. And I'm going to tell you how it starts. Here's the funny part. Well, one of the ways it starts. We get too familiar. We're not thankful anymore the fact that the Most High had the mercy to send these people to us. And they just become another God to us. Now, that's another man there. And before you know it, they treat you as such. When, hey, if it wasn't for him sending you, that's the thing. No one's trying to boast about these people and say they were anything great because they were messengers for the Most High. He's what's great. But the point is, we lose that thankfulness after a time. We get too familiar. And we forget that, look, he didn't have to send them. He didn't have to send them. So he points this out all through the Bible. Like, look, man, I sent this guy to you, this guy. What's going on here? You keep killing these guys. They're preaching for me and bringing you the way to this kingdom. But again, it comes down to we forget. All right, we're going to continue on, but that's just a key part to keep in mind too. I guarantee you at first, when these prophets came to them, they thought, man, this is a great guy. But eventually, he's just somebody like me. And here it is, they never made that argument. They knew that. They knew they were people. Same thing with Christ. Doing all these miracles, but eventually he just became another guy walking around. Some people act like he was just deceiving the people. He's doing magic tricks or something. Yeah, but he deceived the people. I don't know about him. All right? Read that, please.
Verse 35. Your houses will I give to a people that shall come, which not having heard of me, yet shall believe me, to whom I have showed no signs, yet they shall do that I have commanded them. They have seen no prophets, yet they shall call their sins to remembrance and acknowledge them.
Right, and this is going to go into even prophecy about us. Here it is. You have people every now and then they pop up and they say, well, man, it seemed like they were doing a lot of miracles and stuff in that Bible. Don't realize that it was prophecy that we will go into a level of darkness when it comes to that? We're reading it right now. They didn't see all those things. They didn't see the splitting of the Red Sea, and yet there will be a people that will come that will believe regardless. Again, thank the Most High for that too. Right? Let's continue on. Let's see who they would have as messengers here, as opposed to the others. Read that.
Verse 37. I take to witness the grace of the people to come, whose little ones rejoice in gladness, and though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the thing that I say.
And our children believe better than we do a lot of times. They don't need much to believe. Read.
Verse 38. And now, brother, behold what glory, and see the people that cometh from the east, unto whom I give for leaders Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Oseas, Amos, and Micaias, Joel, Abdias, and Jonas, Nahum, Habakkuk, Sophonias, Aggeus, Zachary, and Malachi, which is called also an angel of the Lord.
Right, so this is also translation issues, but these are just your prophets that you read in your Bible. Right? So the whole thing is this. Eventually, there will be a people that will wake up and start coming from these different regions. And they will believe even though they didn't see all that stuff that our forefathers believed. And even when we read it earlier, I don't know if y'all noticed, even during the time of Gideon, it told you that there was a time where the Most High didn't do anything. I hope y'all paid attention to that. He gave them that silence for a time. Why? Because we were in our mess. All right, Matthew 12, 46 through 50. We were in our mess. So he gives us a time. He sends people to us to get us prepared again. Just like he would do with the priests. He would say, okay, make sure we sanctify them first before they go up in there. Prepare them. And that's the process you're going through. And you got to thank the Most High for that. He's like, he could just come tomorrow and he'd be like, not even, what did it say? Not even a tenth of man will survive. Forget what Ezra said there. He was like, man, if he was to come back right away, forget about it. So he's giving you that opportunity. Right? Read that real quick.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 46. While he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brethren stood without, desiring to speak with him. Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee. But he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother? Who is my brethren? And he stretched forth his hand toward the disciples and said, behold, my mother and my brethren. For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and my sister and my mother.
Right, Romans 12, 1 through 5, last one. But another thing I was just thinking about, a lot of us at one point were complaining, saying there's nobody around us to deal with on this truth. My whole family is denying me. The whole family don't want to deal with me. And here does the Most High give you a family and you don't want to work with them. You don't want to be no peace? Nah, we ain't good. Nah, this is beef here. They not feeling what I'm saying here. No forgiveness. And it's like, wait a minute. You 5 minutes ago, you forget. You asked the Most High for a family. You were saying it's lonely in this truth. Everybody else still dancing around the Christmas tree here. I'm by myself. So even that in itself, we have to take into perspective. Like, are we really being thankful here? He gave you this. He allowed you to find people of like minds. Now you must work it out with them. To the bitter end here. You got to work it. All right, last scripture. Romans 12. Because again, brothers and sisters, it's about who does the will of the Most High. Not about just, blood is great and all. You got family and all, but when that chip comes, you're going to find out. It's a little deeper than that. You're going to find out. They're not showing these movies where some old lady or something got a chip in and she bugs out, starts attacking the family and everything for nothing. You're going to find out. All right? Read that, please.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. For I say through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according to the Most High hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we being many are one body in Christ, and every one members one of another.
Right, so that's the mindset we have to do. We have to take a part of. We have to mentally realize that we're all in this together. All right, and be thankful together for this time, for these moments. It may come a time where it's only a couple of y'all in one area running from whatever's going on. And you're going to remember these times where you had so many people amongst you of like minds. They tell you that wit shall hide itself eventually. Eventually the scriptures shall be gone from the rest of the earth. It'll only be a few small places in this earth where the Most High's word is being spoken and kept. So keep that in perspective. Be thankful and build with your spiritual family in these last days while you still can. All right? So with that being said, hopefully that helps out a few people here and there, but not everyone. And we begin to be more thankful in our homes and our everyday lives and teaching our children when it comes to counting, counting those blessings. Be more focused on it. All right? Let's move on. We're going to move to our, Q&A here. We got a special? Okay, Q&A. That's just question and answer, not comments. We can do that the other day, another day. Yeah, keep it rolling for that. Make sure there's no questions on the live. Again, Q&A, question and answer. And if you're tempted, let's say you got something deep you think you're going to bring in a question for them, just save it, please. Please just save it. Be thankful. That's all I could say. Save it. All right. We got anybody? If we ain't got no questions, move it on. All right. I'm seeing hands going. What's going on? You got a question?
Yes, sir.
All right, good.
Okay, Judges, chapter 7. Judges, chapter 7, verse 5 through 7. The Most High said to the, whoever it was, I forgot who it was, but when he was saying about, okay, you pick the person with the lappy or is there like some kind of significance to that, like why you chose which way? What does that even look like?
Well, I would have to see if there's any other significance with, maybe Ashley will call with it. Me, I always looked at it as these were the men that were more alert as warriors. They were more aware. If you're sitting there just laying on the ground sipping some water and something goes down immediately, you ain't even ready to run and do what you got to do.
Right.
You understand? So that's just but I would rather ask him if there's anything else he may have come across on that one. But that's the way I always looked at it. Like, I would rather have soldiers that were alert You know, there's somebody chilling down, sitting on their behind, you know what I mean? When they literally are being, you know, it's a war scenario.
Right. So the ones that were licking the water, I don't know what.
If you imagine if you're down on all fours here, your sword is somewhere else. You're sitting here on all fours while something could be coming down on you. You're not even alert. You see?
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I said, I'll check with Elder Ricardo to see if there's anything else that he may have come across for that. Okay, no questions online? All right. Okay, great. So, yeah, we'll wrap that up. What we're going to do is